Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have a very special guest for you guys today. This is Aiden from Paint Pro Coaching. He does phenomenal work. He works specifically with painting business owners about, teaching them how to start their painting business, how to scale it, how to get better at sales, and ultimately build a business that you actually want to own. So if you haven't heard of him yet, this is Aiden. I'll give you the floor to give a quick little introduction here.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Caleb, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm a coach. I coach painting contractors specifically. I think my biggest clients doing over 3 million, which is cool. But we have a plenty of people that are doing zero, right? That are ground up, and we take them all the way from zero all the way up. So we have a cool system, a cool community going on right now. But also, I'm a painting business owner, right? So I came from doing it all myself, being on the tools. Actually, my sweater right here, Constellation Painting, was my first ever painting company. So I don't wear it day to day, but I'm bringing it out for Caleb right now as a little talking piece. And yeah, right now we have two locations. We're really, focusing on Florida, and it's been going really good.
Awesome. So I guess the first kind of big thing that came to my mind when I was, doing my research about you and your company is like, how did you end up transitioning from owning a painting business to being like, hey, other people need help with this?
Yeah.
Like, how'd that all work?
Yeah, so in Philadelphia, kind of just going back, I worked for my wife now, but her dad, she got me a job with him, and I was just painting apartments. I was making $75 a day, and then as I started to get better, her dad was taking notice and was like, "This guy's, pretty good. He's smart. I think he has like a bright future in this. I'm gonna try and work with him and see if we could do something in the future, because he wasn't like a business savvy guy." And then, I made some money there. I was good, but I was like, dude, I want to do like sales. I want to do business because I was always like an entrepreneur. So I had
Hmm.
went to school, got my business degree. And then from there, got a few sales jobs. And I was like, all right, I'm good at this. I'm, exceeding, but I still want to, do my own thing. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm good at painting. I'm good at sales and kind of business at that time. At least I thought I was. Let me do my own thing. But I went into the business and realized I cannot do all this myself. There's no way that I could be on the tools, have a bright, like, $1 million, multi-million dollar company doing it all myself. And then I got overwhelmed. And one night, I talked about this on my podcast, but like one night, dude, I was just so overwhelmed, stressed, and like, I can't do this anymore. Like, if I'm going to be working 12, 14-hour days, it's not worth I'm a slave to my business. So I basically had that, moment where I said, I need to make a decision. Am I going to continue this or am I going to make a change? And I made a change, got off the tools. And yeah, I said, I'm never going back on the tools again. And that was like the big thing that opened my eyes. Like, you can actually be a business owner instead of the employee in your own business. So once I made that mental change, things started changing. People started looking at me different. My guys started being like, oh, Aiden's not around anymore. And that kind of made me open up and say, other people need to realize this and take this advice.
Mhm. Okay. So where exactly, okay, I hear a lot of people that are stuck in that spot too. All
Yeah.
the time I see it, stuck in the business, you feel like you can't get out, always on the tools. Where exactly were the first couple places that you started to remove yourself and actually be that business owner opposed to the one man show?
Yeah, so I started to do more residential. So I was with a couple property managers because I was like, residential and word of mouth is all good, but if I could have people that just give me leads and work orders, like I was making the money I wanted to make, so why not just take those, projects? And I still
Yeah.
use those strategies today, but back then I was getting more into residential and realizing like, wow, I can charge a little more. And then once I made that shift, I was like, I want to just do the sales and let my guys take over, right? So a couple of them working for me were like, hey, we want to have our own business, we want to do our own thing, but we don't want to leave you kind of like without us. So I said,
Yeah.
hey, work for me as a sub. You can do your own
Yeah.
thing whenever I don't have jobs, or if you feel like, you just need to do your own thing to make a little bit more money, no problem. But I was at that time kind of like, wow, I can actually help them to do their own thing as a friend because most of the people that worked for me were family or friends. And if they wanted
Yeah.
to do their own thing and kind of build a business, I was going to help them because I had learned so much going through trial and error. that was the original like coaching. I was in the basement with my buddies and we were just like, my wife would make breakfast and I would literally just be coaching them on, hey, this is how you set up the LLC. This is how you go and, measure a job to estimate it, blah, 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 while they were getting their feet wet under me, making money and like being sustained.
Mhm.
Because I was like, I could always find painters. I want to do what's in the best interest of my relationship with my buddies. I don't want them to work for me forever. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Did I answer the question?
No, yeah, you absolutely did. I know I see that a lot of people always recommend doing kind of what you did. You start off
Yeah.
with your operations and you're either going the subcontractor model or hiring on people. Do
Yeah.
you have full-time employees right now, or you mostly work with subs?
Right now, all subs. I absolutely love subs. I do coach on both, right? If you're like in
Mhm.
a state that's more better for employees, or if you already have employees, right? But
Yep.
for me, man, I've just had a knack for finding good guys. I know how to find them and, set
Mhm.
expectations. And you got to think subcontractors are business owners that can't get to that next level or don't like sales and marketing. Like they know how to do the work in and out, and they just can't, they don't have the communication skills, the selling, the ability to go out and create a business, but they need work because that's their field. So it's like, why not have them work with you and kind of have this same goal and vision, incentivize them, blah, blah, blah. So we just found a really good strategy to have really good subs.
Okay. So would you say that that's kind of step one is if you're stuck getting off production?
Yeah, I think a subcontractor is one of the easiest buttons you can push. Reason being is because if I'm having employees come in, it's going to take me time to train them, get them up to my systems, how they, exactly have to work. I got to make sure I have a guy that's willing to be an employee because nowadays, a lot of people want to just do their own thing, and
Mhm.
it's like, it's hard, right? So if I have a sub and I know they do good work, the communication skills we can work on, but I can say, hey, you need to send me pictures at the end of every single job, do the final walkthrough with the client. I need you to make sure that you're checking in somehow, whether it's an app or texting me, whatever the case may be, put some system in place that says we're not just like a show up and paint, we're a company. Here are the systems you have to abide by. And if you can't do that, it's not going to work out. And most of the time, they'll fall in line and they'll understand if you actually take care of them with incentives, whether it's a review incentive or a good portion of the project as far as the labor goes, they're going to stick around and they're going to, get comfortable. And as long as you can keep them busy, you're good.
So I think a lot of people, at least for, our clients, people that I talk to, it seems like they're kind of scared to make that jump because let's
Yeah.
say you're 20 grand a month, you're doing all the work yourself, you're the only employee. If you hire on subs, now you took a huge pay cut. What do you do to kind of get to that next level? Where do you invest that time? And how do you get back to that 20K a month while still having that team to help fulfill the services for you?
Well, I would go back on that and say, if you have a sub, now you can do multiple jobs, right? Because
Mhm.
technically you can still do your own jobs by yourself. As long as you set that sub up with a work order, right? Even if you want to meet them there just in the beginning while you're figuring it out. But like
Mhm.
you can find a way to do your own jobs and have a sub on to help you out with like the overflow. That's
Mhm.
something you can always do. You can have a couple available. I wouldn't just say hire one sub and put all your eggs in that basket. It's like, no, you say, hey, here's the job, here are the photos, here's the what exactly we're doing, here's the payout. Do you want the job or not? Right? That's kind of
Mhm.
how you go about it. And one might say no, it might not be a good fit for them. But the next one might say, yep, I'm ready to go. Here's the date. Let's do it. So that's how you navigate that. And then while you're kind of still on the tools, yeah, anything you can't handle. Like I talk to guys all the time. They're like, look, we're booked 4 months out, 6 months out. How
Yeah.
how are we able to get more, you know, because clients are going to say no if you're like, oh, well, we can book you 6 months out. They're going to be like, I'm not waiting that long. A
Yeah.
subcontractor is an easy way to get them on the schedule in the next 2 weeks, if that, right? I've turned jobs over in the next day with a subcontractor. Yeah, you
Okay.
just got to keep them ready.
So are you still doing the sales side of things, or how does that all work right now?
Yeah, I'm doing so. I'm such in the early phases of the Florida business. It's only been probably 75 days. So I'm in
Okay.
a spot where I am doing the sales. My calendar allows it, and I have the time, and it saves me money. Right, I don't have to pay a commission.
Mhm.
So I'm doing all the sales, but I am completely off the tools. I don't. go on and do the work. Usually I'm coaching clients while the jobs are getting done, and I don't have
Mhm.
to worry about them because they know what I expect. I meet with them multiple times before I actually give them a shot. One, to get to know them. Two,
Yeah.
to make sure that, they are professional. They're going to show up. They're going to meet me. They're giving me all the paperwork I need, like their COI, if anybody wants to know what that is, a certificate of insurance. Because you can't just hire a regular painter and call him a sub. He has to be a legitimate business, insured, have his paperwork and whatnot. That's how you
Yeah.
know he's serious. And if all those boxes get checked and I say, okay, this is a guy who's on it, he's professional, he wants to work with me, and he met up with me a few times and I got a good feeling, I think we're good to go.
Okay. Do you have any sort of guidelines that you give them for client communication? When they're representing you, they're representing your company. How do
Yeah.
you tell them how to talk to clients? Like, what are some of the things you say?
Yeah, so we do a dedicated supervisor on every single job. So when you
Okay.
work with our company, you're going to get somebody that is your point of contact, right? I don't want them saying, "Hey, Aiden, something's wrong with the job." No, I want them to say, "Hey, Joe, supervisor, something's wrong with the job."
Okay.
So I need to delegate as much as I can in order to free up my time so I can focus on building the business, making relationships, selling, blah, blah, blah. If I have to
Okay.
worry about every little call that comes in for the job, it's kind of like, why not just supervise and be the production manager myself?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of how you put the ball in the subs court. And then what you do is you incentivize them with a review incentive, right? So depending
Yeah.
on the size of the job, you could do 1%, you could do 50, $75, but then they want to go above and beyond because they know an extra couple bucks are coming on the back end.
Yeah. Okay. What do you mean exactly by the review incentive?
Yeah, so that basically means no matter what job you're on, if you get a review at the end of that job and the customer's fully satisfied, you get an additional compensation.
Okay. Okay.
So
I like that.
a
Yeah.
lot of times it shakes out to about 1% of the job because you earned it, right? You went above and
Yeah.
beyond 5 star, and that review is worth a lot for me because in the early stages of the job, if I can rack up those reviews, man, I mean, that's going to help me in the long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what does your day-to-day look like now that you're doing sales? What are you doing? You go into appointments, you call in leads, like what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm very big into a calendar, right? Obviously, it's like when you say it sounds basic, but what happens is if it's not on my calendar, it's not getting done, right? Like we put this podcast at a specific time and you show up and you do it, right? So you do that with your tasks, right? So whether it's an appointment, follow-ups, meeting somebody, for a lunch, if you're not putting that on your calendar and time blocking, you're going to be very unorganized. You're going to not be accountable to your clients, your relationships. It's going to start to get really messy for you and hard to actually take that next step. So just in the morning, like between 8:30 to 12:30, I'm doing sales. And then after that, I'm doing coaching and I block out time for the gym, for lunch. I block out time for any projects I have going on, any meetings. So that's kind of what my day to day looks like. A lot of meetings.
How do you communicate with those project managers? Do you have like a weekly that you set up? Every day you give them a call? How does that all look?
Yeah, we have a weekly meeting with the supervisor. So basically, we'll meet up, talk about the projects that have happened, what went well, what didn't, just kind of like what can we do to improve and how are things going and how are you feeling about everything?
Okay. So all the sales that you're doing right now, like morning sales,
Yeah.
what's your closing rate on those look like?
Right now, it's about 25%. So it's been pretty freaking horrendous lately.
I can imagine, especially with the hurricane and everything going on down by you guys.
Yeah, you know what it was? Only being in Florida for so long, I didn't realize how competitive it was and how much I needed to bring a little bit more value to the table.
Mhm.
So now we're dialing in. So that's the cool thing about being a coach and kind of starting a business and knowing how to, turn certain levers. Like I'm going in and every single job I don't land, every single week that I go and my closing rate is low, I go back to the drawing board and say, what can we adjust? What can we do to make things tighter, get things better, invest in myself to say, hey, I need to reach out to somebody to get their opinion on sales, right?
Yeah.
Um, I do train sales reps. So I have a whole thing where I go out and actually meet with a lot of my clients and like train their sales reps. But there's times where look, you just can't control it is what it is, and I'm an open book. So I'll tell you
Yeah.
when I'm doing great, when I'm not. But right now, I was having a lot of issues with the texture concepts. So in Florida, there's a lot of like knockdown texture, orange peel, and I just wasn't estimating them properly.
Okay.
Um, and then I think my prices were a little higher than I probably need to be for out here. Like I need to be a little bit tighter. So I talked to my rep. We got our pricing tighter. We're going with a different product, and yeah,
Okay. So I was kind of hoping, so a lot of our clients ask us about this all the time. Clients ask us, viewers ask us. I think a lot of people are really struggling with lead management.
mm,
They see all these marketing agencies out there. We can get you a bunch of leads. They can get Google leads. They can get their phone ringing. But when that lead comes in, a lot of the times we notice it's not managed properly. It's not
yeah,
managed in a timely manner. It's not even being tracked.
yeah,
And at least from my perspective, it makes it really hard for a lot of business owners to even know what's going on because they don't
yeah,
have numbers. They have no idea what their set rate is. They have no idea what their close rate is. And like you can't really improve if you don't know your numbers. You're
yeah,
never going to lose weight if you don't step on the scale.
100%.
So what's your kind of your experience with that, and what are some of the things that like you recommend for managing leads better?
Yeah, so if you're on the tools specifically, right, you're not going to be able to answer the phone at the turn of, the next minute or two when it comes in. So the most important thing, and this is like, you guys should write this down if you're listening, is speed to lead. All right. So you need to get to that lead as fast as possible because they're in the mindset of buying when they're actually clicking and filling out a form on Facebook ads, or maybe clicking your link to go submit whatever it is you have set up for them. If you don't get to them within the first 5 minutes, the chances of you actually doing business and getting that job goes down like something like 300%. That's an actual statistic out there that we got from the PCA, Painter Contractor Association, that I went to. And I did a whole event where I kind of went to like a seminar, and somebody kind of explained the whole speed to lead and what you can do about it. And the cool thing is, there's softwares out there like Drip Jobs where you have automation that will send a booking form right away as soon as a lead comes in, or send a quick text. Like we have one set up right now that Tanner uses also that's like, hey, does Wednesday work for an estimate? Right. So basically, as soon as somebody comes in as a lead, a few minutes later, it just goes, hey, does Wednesday work for an estimate? That gets the conversation going. That gets them saying, okay, they acknowledge me, they're responding, and then if they say yes, no, at least there's a conversation there you can move forward with.
Okay. Are you still recommending that if you're using a system like Drip Jobs, let's say for example, you're running Facebook ads, all those leads go into Drip Jobs and they have that automated follow-up. Do you still recommend that people give them a call or just let Drip Jobs do its
Oh
thing?
no, you got to give them a call. So
Okay.
the second part of that is you need a virtual assistant or an admin. All right. If you're smaller, you probably can't afford an office admin because they're going to require a legitimate salary, blah, blah, blah. If you do a virtual assistant, you can hire somebody between like $5 to $7 an hour, and they will answer every single call that comes in and follow up with them, et cetera, et cetera. So I have a virtual assistant, and she is tasked to call them twice, text them twice, and email them 3 times during the week. Any lead that comes in. So I don't want to have the task of calling, emailing, texting, and being all over these clients because I have to be at the sales appointments. I have to be talking to my guys. I got to be coaching people. If I had to chase leads around all day, that's the one thing about me. My set rate is 60% right now or so. So it's like most of the leads coming in, unless there's a wrong number or something like that, which happens, we're getting a hold of them and we're trying to get them on the schedule. So we're extremely proud about that, but it has a lot to do with the virtual assistant and setting her up for success, or him.
Okay. So how are you actually setting him or her up for success? Do they have access to like your Drip Jobs, for example?
Yep, yep. My drip jobs, my drip chat, my open phone, which is a software where it's like a cloud-based call, like phone for your business, and you
Yeah.
can give them a user, and now they're going to reach out. So my VA, her name is Erica, and she'll reach out to every lead and call and say, "Hey, this is Erica with Smith and Co Painting. We saw you had an estimate request filled out. Love to get you on the schedule." So that's what's happening with every single lead. And then, yeah, just meeting with her every single Monday at noon and just going over, hey, how are things going? What does the set rate look like? What are you seeing? And she'll give me some insight, and maybe we have to tweak what we're doing as far as marketing, but at least we're on the same page. She has a clear script. Everything is ready to go. She doesn't need me.
Okay. So that's funny you say that. That's something that we noticed as well.
Yeah.
So we started offering a service where instead of just running your ads, we also call the leads and set them into appointments because we noticed people are really busy and they're on the tools. Some of the common objections that we see, and I'm curious about your opinion on this, is when you're hiring a VA and they're from another country or something like that,
Yeah.
people feel funny about accents. Do you think that's a problem? Do you notice that? Is there a way to overcome that? What are your thoughts?
There is something there. You want somebody that's you can understand clearly. Slight accents, I'm not worried about. My VA has a slight accent, and there has been times where, people have pretended not to understand her or like gotten and felt some type of way once she answered the phone because
Yeah,
there are just some, not good people out there. Let's just leave it at that.
yeah,
And honestly, when I listen to those calls, we just had one the other day, it's like, I don't want to work with them anyway. So,
yeah.
in my opinion, as long as they bring the energy, they're very positive. They treat our customers with respect. They follow our core values. It's like, I'm all good with a VA with an accent. But she does other things for me too, which is the cool thing about virtual assistants. They can post on your social media. They can do your job costing, which is extremely important. So as
Mhm.
long as you teach them and get them, regularly updated, make sure you're spending that time setting them up for success. They're going to do a lot of things and take a lot of tasks off your shoulder.
Okay. So where can people find these VAs?
Yeah, so there's a lot of recruiting companies out there that will actually find VAs for you. Um, where I like to go is called Upwork.com. And it's not the best thing to do, but basically they should be working through Upwork, but a lot of times they'll end up just working directly through me.
Yeah,
Like if you hire them full time and then it's a good enough opportunity for them, they'll just abandoned the platform and work for you full time. You know what I mean? But it's supposed to be like they just do gigs through Upwork, if that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Okay.
Upwork, Fiverr, I think there's one, it's like latinosva.com, something like that. You can just Google virtual assistants and dude, you'll find a million of them.
Okay. So in addition to calling, managing kind of the CRM with drip jobs and posting on social media, what else can people use this for?
For virtual assistants,
Yes.
dude, it all depends what they're good at.
Yeah.
So you can look up a virtual assistant and they can do any task for you. Most commonly, it's going to be the office admin work, right? Tasks, lead management, calling, emailing, blah blah blah. Mine does a lot of graphic design. So when we record our podcast, she'll make the thumbnail, she'll upload it all into Spotify, onto YouTube, and all really it's about training them, right? So you make a 5-10 minute Loom video about how to exactly do it, and then they just copy and paste it and just do it for you. So you have to replicate the system, explain to them how to do it, give them the logins, and then they can do whatever you want them to do. It's just they're going to be doing it at different. If it's creative, they're going to be doing it at different like styles and strategies and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay. So realistically, how much is that going to cost for someone?
I pay my VA $7 an hour.
Okay.
So
So
I
let's see.
mean,
What is that monthly? Let's take a
I think
look.
it's like 320 a week, something like that.
Okay.
But think about it, right? It's like if I am on the tools, wouldn't I pay an extra $300 a week to make sure that every lead that comes in through Caleb is going to be a lot more, inclined to be landed or on the schedule? I'm
Yeah.
paying that all day. That's just a
Yeah.
no-brainer, right? So if you do that for your clients, you're doing something in addition for them that they would have to hire, train, figure out, be on, meet with, and it's like you're saving them all that time, all that hassle, and it's so worth it. And it just complements what you're doing. Kind of like how the coach complements the leads coming in. Because if you don't know how
Yeah.
to sell or have a business that can actually sustain leads coming in, a lot of your leads are just going to go to crap, even though they are good leads. Vice
Yeah.
versa with the admin, it's like if you can actually close and get them on the schedule for the painter, oh my gosh, I would love
Yeah.
that.
I notice a lot of people, and again, we have dozens and dozens of painters that we talk to, so I hear
Yeah.
the objections. Um, People love to say that the leads aren't good quality, and then we go in and investigate, and like, okay, like that's terrible. What's wrong? And then I find out that they got called 3 days later
Yeah,
by them. Well, yeah, of course they don't remember you. Like the speed to lead, man, you know?
exactly.
So those are some of the things that I always try to hammer into my clients' heads. Like, hey, you
Yeah,
got to call leads ASAP if we're not calling them for you, you know, like if they didn't choose that package.
yeah.
Um, but other than speed to lead, you know, once you actually get to the estimate, how do you close this into a high paying client?
Nah, well, first you got to pre-qualify them, right? Because just
Hmm.
because they're a lead doesn't mean they're your lead and your type of
Hmm.
customer. So you got to call them ahead of time or have your admin or VA ahead of time kind of just go through, hey, first name, last name, confirm all their information, their address, so we don't show up to anybody's house and it's somewhere
Hmm.
else, right?
Yeah.
What do you need done, right? Some people ask about timeline and stuff like that, but you got to come up with your own questions that qualify the customer. Doesn't have to be super in depth. It's just you touching base with them, making sure that they check the regular boxes for a decent client, right? Once
Yeah.
they get past that threshold, now we can talk about getting on the schedule and doing the actual estimate. So that's where you go in and you put on your sales process, explain what you do different than somebody else and why the pricing makes sense. And then you ask for the deal.
Okay. So do you have like the closer model or the estimate model where you come back, draw it all up, figure out all the pricing, then send it to them, or do you ask for the sale on the spot?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it all depends what tools you have available, right? Because if you don't have the estimating software or the knowledge to be able to put together a price right there that you can break down for them and tell them how it makes sense, you're not just walking into a room and saying, "Yep, this is gonna be 1,200 bucks. Living room's gonna be 2,000, 3,200 bucks." You know what I mean? And they're kind of like, "Where did that pricing come from?" You know?
Yeah.
Um, if you have it to where you can show them, break it down, they can tangibly feel each line and say, okay, this makes sense, right? This drywall patch adds a little more. Okay, cool. Now it's like you have a more informed customer. And if they feel like they're getting a decent deal, you're bringing good value to them and you're professional, it's going to allow you to be able to provide a spot on the spot estimate, which we try to do almost every single client. But there are times where, there's some complexities. Maybe we're doing something a little bit different than painting that I just have to get some more information on.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm going to do whatever I can on the spot to close them.
Okay. So, how are you actually calculating all that? You using a job costing software? How does that all work?
Yeah, so we use the feature on Drip Jobs called production rates. And we have basically in my coaching, we talk about providing it on the spot, but using production rates to do so, right? So if I'm going into a room, we'll actually measure the room, count all the substrates, and then in the back end, I have my production rate set up, which I actually help implement and give you if you're a part of the coaching or whatnot. And that sets you up to be able to yeah, go through and provide an estimate. No matter what you're painting, you can just add it onto your estimate and you're good to go. So
Okay.
it's like itemizing it.
So all these people that are coming into your program,
Mhm.
what kind of results are they seeing?
Yeah, so I don't have any like guarantees or like, hey, you're gonna make 60K in the next 90 days, whatever, that is, right? The reason
Mhm.
that I don't have that is because I work with clients of all different sizes, right? So,
Mhm.
for example, one of the guys I worked with in Florida, he was doing 2.5 million. He was a cabinet painting company. I helped him increase his net profit and help relieve some of his expenses and helped organize and structure his business better to run better so he wasn't suffocated. Now he has a streamlined functioning business where he can focus more on one role and leadership and high level vision and make
Yeah.
more money at the end. So we didn't add any money on the top line, but he's seeing a
Mhm.
lot more money on the bottom line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Okay.
there's that, and then there's people that come in at zero, and I've had many cases where we got all the way up to 1 million with starting from zero from scratch. But it all depends on the person you're working with. We don't work with just anybody. We want to make
Yeah.
sure that you're motivated. You're in an ideal situation to have success, right? You're not like halfway in, halfway out. Like I need you to be bought in because this is a team thing. I could tell
Yeah.
you everything in the world to do, but if you don't do it, we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. What are some of the first things you look at when you're analyzing a new client? Let's say, I really wanted to grow my painting business. I'm doing 250,000 a year. I'm still pretty much on the tools. Like, how do you analyze that? What's your discovery process look like?
Yeah, so I think I look at motive, right? Because there are people that try to come in just to steal info, right? They just want to get the info that I have and take it and run with it, give it to somebody, resell it, wherever the case may be. So I got to protect myself first and make sure
Okay.
this isn't a threat to what we have going on because a lot of it is proprietary. We worked a long time. We have contracts that need to be signed in order for you to get into coaching.
Mhm.
And then once we're past that and we feel like, okay, you actually need help and you're ready to go, then it's about fit, right? Do I see myself working with you and actually helping you get results? Because I'm working with you one on one, right? And you're going to be part of a larger group. I don't want to add anybody that's toxic or that I wouldn't want to work on one, because there are a lot of people in this industry that they're stuck in their ways. They're like, yeah, I need help. I'm going to listen to you, but if I hear anything that you know makes me have resistance, all of a sudden I'm like being defensive and not listening, and oh, my way is the right way. That's not a good client for me either, you know?
Mhm.
So,
I
yeah.
no, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, yeah. So after that, then we got to make sure that the actual program of what I'm offering makes sense to them and it's a good fit. And then once we establish that, does the money work, right? Because we're not doing this for free. It's like I'm helping you make money. I need to make money too. So,
Yeah, of course. Of course.
it's going that way.
It's a very high value service. I mean, think about that. If you can teach somebody just to add an extra, just an extra 10,000 a month, how much that's actually worth over years and years.
Yeah, I
I'm sure.
think the education and confidence you're going to get is worth more than the money, honestly, because
Yeah,
you're going to use that and apply it to your life, your business, and it's going to help you grow forever.
yeah. I mean, uh, Alex Hormozy, one of his quotes that I like is the S&P 500, real estate, anything, nothing, it all pales in comparison to the money he's invested in himself from the return he's gotten. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
even from my own experience, buying courses and things like that, that's the reason I do what I do. Like if I were to add up
Hmm.
all my revenue I've made over this, it would pale in comparison to the small amount I've invested in books,
Yep.
courses, resources, and all that stuff. Um, it's in my opinion one of the biggest levers you can pull.
Dude, when I first moved to Florida, I had all this info and I knew that I could coach and help people and stuff, but I didn't know how to actually implement it into a coaching program, have structure, be able to deliver actual results every single time. I paid a coach, right? It was way more than I wanted to spend, but I was like, you know what? I believe in myself to run with this information, and I think it's going to be something that's going to long term pay off. And thank God I did,
Yeah.
everybody will say it. It's like if you get with the right coach and it's the right fit for what you're trying to do and you're motivated, it's going to be 100x return.
So what are some of those kind of things that you look for to make sure somebody's actually going to be successful and actually wants this? Like what are some of those traits? Like I know you talked about, and I noticed it too. Unfortunately, there's a group of toxic people in this industry.
Yeah.
Every Facebook group I see, there's people trying to drag you down, because they're upset because they've been
Yeah.
in the industry for 30 years and haven't made any progress, which I get it. Being, bitter because of the lack of, understanding or success or whatever that may be.
They've just been
Uh,
stuck in their way for a long time and they can't get over themselves, right? And that's one of the biggest things. It's like you need to be coachable, right? I'm going to be giving you a lot of new info, a lot of technical info because a lot of our stuff requires time for you to actually put in the work to set it up, right? You need to be coachable. You got to be open-minded. I want to see like humbleness, right? Like I'm Aiden, I to this point we haven't figured it out. We need the extra boost. We need your system. We need you to help us take that next step, right? Can you help
yeah.
us? And then we go from there. And sometimes people are like, look, I see what you're doing. I think it'll help us. We're doing, good right now, but I think we have some holes. I think it might be in our best interest to just see what you have going on. And those are great clients too, because it's like they understand the benefit that comes with coaching and new education, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There are clients that get it, clients that aren't a good fit.
Yeah.
I've made that mistake in the past where I've signed on people that weren't the right fit and the
Yeah.
relationship just didn't work.
Hmm.
Maybe they were like extremely not tech savvy, which like you
Hmm.
need to just have some level of technical knowledge in order to use the tools that you're going to need to use.
Yeah.
Or there is that resistance. Like I remember there was a guy who I signed on once who it was a mistake. I never should have done it. I was trying to get him to track the leads in the CRM. I was like, hey man, if you don't write down what's going on, or you're not like it's really going to be extremely hard for you to improve. And
Yeah.
then he was super resistant because he didn't want a paper trail of his work because he wanted to not report it on his taxes. Which
Yeah.
like I'm like, I'm trying to help you out here, man, but if you don't listen, then it's really hard for me to do that.
Yeah, it's so funny because there are times where, and this speaks to kind of like you said, right? That older generation. There are times where I'll be working with like an investor for their property and they're like, hey, what about like a cash? What if I pay you cash? What is the price then? And I'm like, the same.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, look, I'm trying to report income. Like, that's why I have this business. I'm not trying to cheat anything or anything like that. I'll pay my fair share of taxes, but like, for me, I want to make real money. I want to be able to buy stuff, get loans. So I need to report it. And I had a lot of people that come into the coach, not a lot, but like there's a good few that have this method of like cash discounts. And they realize quick that once they try to apply for a house or whatever the case may be, that they have a hard time doing it. And it's like you asked for it.
Yeah, I went to school for accounting. I used to be a tax accountant before
My
I started
man.
my agency. So I used to be one of those bean counters behind the screen, and it wasn't for me.
Hmm.
But I learned a lot about it. And one of the things that I did is I've got a couple of rental properties. So those suck up a lot of cash. So all the money
Hmm.
I make pretty much goes into that because I'm buying, doing rehab and all that stuff's very expensive.
Hmm.
Um, and I recently bought a house. And because of that, I had to throw out some of my genuine expenses just so that I could look like I made enough money. There are
Yep.
more than enough ways to like legally write off things.
100%.
There are more than enough, like between payments to employees, trucks, depreciation, like there's more than enough ways to do it legally.
Yeah, and that's something we talk on too, because it's necessary to understand and know. Obviously, we're not tax experts, we're not like financial advisor or anything, but I will give you the basis of like, hey, these are the things that you can use to your benefit. Credit card points, right? Tax write-offs, right? My coaching, your services, they're all write-offs that you can use. So that's kind of like 101, that we go through early on. And some are like, look, I know all this stuff. And then we skip right through it.
So, in all honesty, please give me an honest, genuine answer here. Do you think marketing agencies are valuable to painters, or completely not, or it depends?
That was one of the first things we did when we started Florida was to get those ads pumping. And I don't specifically work with a marketing agency just because I know how to do it, just because I've been doing
Yeah,
it for a long time. But
yeah.
it's extremely necessary. It's one of the main ingredients in what we do, right? We want to get you set up with a marketing agency because think about it. You need to get out and get consistent leads in, right? And if you can have a good marketing campaign that's going to just come leads right to your platform, CRM, right into your email or whatever the case may be, that's going to give you a greater success rate to land jobs, grow. I mean, you're not always going to get word of mouth leads. And if you do, great. You're the freaking man. Like that's awesome. But not everybody has that, um, luck. And I think when you're looking to make an actual business to keep sales reps busy, to actually grow into something where you can have multiple crews, you need a lot more leads than you think in order to actually keep everyone busy. So it's extremely important. It's 100% worth it, right? Let's just say you're paying 2K a month for a marketing agency. Let's just say you make that back in one job, right? And then your ad spend, whatever the case may be, but it's all necessary. You should be running at first when you're really trying to take off like a 15% ad budget, honestly, on your revenue. And sometimes even more just to get things going. Once you have a little lag in the schedule and you're booked out a little bit, okay, cool. Now you can reduce it 10, 8%. But like for the most part, dude, it is 100% like necessary.
Okay. So is that like a right away thing or something like get your feet, planted? Or like where does that kind of land?
Yeah, it all depends on where you're at business wise, I would say. Because if
Okay.
you know where you're going pretty quick and you have the idea, you have it mapped out, and you're like, all right, I need this many leads, I'm going to hire this many subs this year, and you're a high level guy right away because you need those cranking. But if you're like, hey, I just want to get into this business, get my feet wet, learn the trades, and you're kind of early on, you might want to build up some capital. And then once you feel like, okay, I have a little bit of wiggle room, let's bring on some more leads so we can keep our guys busy.
So what do you recommend your students spend and where do they spend it? Google, Facebook, Angie's Leads, something?
Yeah, so I always say the numbers are what you should follow, right? Not every area Angie's going to crush, right? We've heard horror stories about all these different platforms. But
Yeah.
honestly, I have a lot of clients that do very well on these platforms.
Yeah.
So if you test it out and it works in your area, you run with it. I'm big on
Okay.
testing, right?
Yeah.
So if Facebook is killing it for you, you run that ad spend up, right?
Yeah.
I do think you should diversify. I do think you should be in Google, Facebook. Those are like the main two that you want to really invest in with the reviews and kind of just grow your brand on that. But you also want to do some back end SEO, right? You want to get a company that's going to set up your website properly. But I got guys killing it on Thumbtack, Angie, Yelp. So it all depends, right? If you have a built up profile on these platforms, you have to leverage it. You got to use it. So look at your cost per lead, look at the data and see your results. And if it makes sense, keep investing in it.
Okay. Is there, and I know I'm not gonna hold you to this, but like, is there like a rough cost per lead that you recommend people look at?
Yeah, you want to be anywhere between, so I've seen a huge range. I think anything under 60, you're good,
Yeah.
honestly. Because, Google can get up to like $80 per lead, right? But they could be super quality leads. I've
Yeah.
seen Facebook at $15 per lead, right? Even on my own campaigns with certain stuff. So it's like anywhere in that range or ballpark, I think you should be good. Anything in excess of 60, it's kind of like, all right, let's take another look. But also, you got to look at if you're making monthly way more like bigger jobs, right? You got to look at the macro too, not just the micro.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
take that in consideration for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if the leads are twice as much, but the jobs are twice as much,
Exactly. I'm paying that
Um,
all day. And you
yeah.
also want to know that you can land them though. Doesn't matter that these leads are coming in great and you're getting them. You have to be able to close them and present a valuable product that your customer is going to want.
Do you think that there is a mind shift between the person who's just relying on referrals and the person who's now starting paid ads?
Like, is there a mindset shift as far as kind of expand on that?
Like, okay, I think a lot of people get really comfortable with, oh, we only rely on referrals. That's all our business is
Yeah.
referral business. And they like referrals for the most part are kind of the cream of the crop because they're very
Yeah.
easy to close. I think the hierarchy kind of goes like referrals, Google, Facebook, and then add like other services.
I think for the most part, this isn't going to be everybody, but if you're going off of referrals, you're probably not looking to grow that much, if that makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
you're pretty happy with the work that's coming in. You got three or four guys that are just keeping busy. You've been hitting the same few communities forever now. Sharon and Kelly, they're kind of passing you around.
Yeah.
You're good. You're not worried about it. But then you
Yeah.
hit this dry season all of a sudden where those referrals run out and then it gets
Sure.
cold and then you have to go inside and now you're kind of scrambling. If you would have had that supplemental ads coming in, keeping you ready, keeping you busy, or somebody like you where I can go say, hey, we're going into a slower season. Let's game plan and get some cabinet ads out there. Or let's go really hard on interior. You don't have that ability with word of mouth, you know? You can't control it. You're going to get leads, you're going to get jobs, but you can't really have the impact and control it like you would for paid.
Okay. So it's basically taking control of your lead flow and being able to turn that lever up and down.
I think so, yeah, because you can run different campaigns, right? You can see something in the market to where we have to capitalize on that, right? Like we just had
Mhm.
a hurricane in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a great time to say, hey, due to the hurricane, we're offering 10% off on full exteriors, or we're offering wood repair, right? One of our guys says he can do it. It's like those are going to capture the attention of your market, whereas you don't have that control word of mouth. You can't, there's no way to market that, you know?
Yeah. So where can people, let's say I'm struggling and I want you to coach me, where can I find you and what are kind of the next steps there?
Yeah, you can go find me on Instagram. That's probably my most active platform at Paint Pro Aiden. You can send me a DM. I respond to everybody that comes in my DMs. Watch my content. Kind of like, I get a bad like feeling. But we've grown an awesome community of great success stories. Very, very secure and up in arms when it comes to my community. I will defend them to the end. We get special pricing and discounts with our vendors. So it's just one of those things that We've cultivated an awesome, and safe environment. But go check out my content. I have great videos, and there's a lot more content to come. We also have a podcast. It's called Paint Your Path Podcast with another coach called Joel Mercado. He's more into mindset, and he owns a couple painting businesses. So yeah, just growing
Okay.
both.
Guys, seriously, go check this out. I will leave all the links below in the description of this video. And if you're listening, they'll be in the description of the podcast. And, I can say from personal experience that investing in my education has given me the highest ROI ever. It is the reason I can sit in this house, in this home office that I can sit in. It's because I invested in my education, in courses, in materials, in order to be able to do so. I know that there's probably a lot of people out there and you see all the ads and you see all the other stuff, but it is very important to find a good coach like Aiden to help you and walk you through this process so that you don't have to figure it out on your own. You don't have to waste all that money and all that time where you can just go to someone who has
Yeah.
already done it, who helps other people do it and tell you exactly what to do. You don't have to guess. You don't have to waste time. You don't have to waste money. You can have somebody hold your hand into success, which
Yeah.
I think is, you can't really put a price on that.
Yeah, we have a lot of resources, guys, and I work with you one on one, right? Like a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, one on one," but it's more of like a group call. No, we're actually holding your hand throughout the entire process, building real relationships, and being there for you, even off the calls. And I think, Caleb, you're doing a great thing with the whole, hey, we're actually calling your leads and scheduling for you. You're separating yourself from the pack. That's something you have a competitive advantage on. I know a lot of marketing companies and most of them aren't doing that. So like kudos to you. And that's going to be really good for anybody looking to run ads.
Well, is there anything else that you think people should know about you, about your company, about painting in general? Anything for dessert?
Um, Man, I would just say if you're in this industry, man, there's a lot more that like a lot more potential than you may think. All right. If you have the chance, go out to an event, whether that is PaintCon. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it's paintcon.ca. It's in November 22nd to 23rd. But just any event, right? PCA Expo, Painters Contractor Association. There's a ton of people that I've talked to that said, hey, this was what opened me up and took my business to the next level because they connected with like-minded people. There were entrepreneurs there that had 10 times the size business of you, and they will talk to you and give you game. And like when you're around people that are a lot bigger than you, bro, it just opens your mind up and you see things differently. So go out, get active, and actually participate in the local painting community that you're in.
I 100% agree. Thank you guys for checking out this. Thank you, Aiden, for all of this knowledge you've been dropping us today. I will see you all in the next one. Don't forget to check out those links below. Bye.
See ya.